Would you agree that what you remove can matter more than what you add? In fact, studies show that people following traditional whole food diets, rich in vegetables, fruits, and unprocessed grains, have 25 to 35% lower risk of depression compared to those on a highly processed diet. Today, we're diving into detox, intentional habits, and how subtraction might be your most underrated performance move. Today's guest knows exactly how to build momentum, not by waiting for motivation, but by moving on purpose. Meet Shayna Gehl, AKA Big Shay Energy. Shay is a powerhouse of movement, momentum, and self-leadership. As a nutritional supplement lead, group fitness instructor, and coach, she's built a life rooted in intentional routines, wellness, and real community energy. Her daily habits, from her morning rituals to her non-negotiable movement, keep her grounded and in flow. A pivotal decision to pursue fitness professionally gave Shay the momentum to transform not just her own life, but the lives of those around her. Today, she's not only leading classes and coaching, but actively building a professional brand and a personal brand that blends transparency, empowerment, and purpose. Shay's journey includes overcoming a deeply personal battle with alcohol abuse, a victory that reflects her commitment to growth and authenticity. Her story reminds us that fueling your best self sometimes starts with letting go of what no longer serves you.
Your habits can be a good or a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And we don't realize how much we get into some habits that we're like, ooh, I didn't realize this was kind of setting me back.
Yeah.
I could not believe when I had to sit there and read labels of every single thing for a month.
Yeah.
To realize
They aren't good or bad, they're just habits. And your brain forms them. You just gotta figure out whether they're serving you or not. In every commercial, they're telling you every problem, we can solve it. There's a pill for it, there's a cream for it, there's an ointment for it, there's a vacation for it. And nobody ever says,
But I think that there's beauty in that now looking back. Hello.
how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And I have you here so fancy with me sitting here, and I'm excited. I'm very excited about sitting with you today. Another one of my lifetime friends. I feel like Lifetime is the weirdest, most beautiful place on the planet.
Agreed.
Because I was just going for a gym. All of a sudden, it's all my friends. It's all the it's everybody. It's everybody I know. It's just at Lifetime.
Yes.
And there's something really like special about that. There's a familial sort of tone to how people show up at Lifetime, and I think it's really special. The relationships that are getting built out of there, and probably even more so because people are going there to show up as a better version of themselves.
Yes.
And that is what I'm all about, right? The idea of showing up as myself, as my full self, but the best version of me that I can. And I know that's not easy to do every day. And you are one of the people that really help people show up as their best self. So that's why I wanted to sit down and talk with you today.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with your sentiment, though, and that was something that stood out to me, too, individually when I joined Lifetime. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember saying to my husband, this is a building full of yes people, like people who show up, right? And they show up and that ends up generating their best selves from it, which is a really cool thing. So happy to be here.
So tell me about your wellness journey, right? What got you to this path and what got you to this place?
Yeah, so I would say for me, people don't believe me now that for any listeners who don't know or aren't familiar with me at Lifetime, I am somebody who teaches a lot of different classes there. I'm also the nutritional supplement lead there as well. So I educate our community about supplementation through our Lifetime brand, LTH, and I teach a variety of classes as well and oversee a lot of the group fit stuff with a team. And that's kind of all people know about me when they see me is my fitness. Yeah. And so for people to learn in my journey that was actually no part of my life for a long time is really shocking. I got into this industry after I had 3 kids, and I was an athlete in high school. But, I think all of us, unless we become professional athletes, we could be athletic in high school, and maybe for many of us even in college. But after that, for the vast majority of us, I think, especially as we start careers and families, that gets lost, right? And it's that moment where, my husband, for example, got winded going up the stairs in the building he worked in, or I realized that I was constantly feeling injured when I wasn't, with all of the child rearing expectations that I had in New York City at the time. And those kinds of moments in life, I think for all of us, are a shift when we realize that we have to start focusing on ourselves if we're actually going to live a good quality life for the rest of our lives, right? And so when we moved out of New York City, and relocated to Plainfield from Brooklyn, I needed to figure out what I was going to do in that transition point of my life. And that's how I found fitness. Was I realized that that was something that I needed to find for myself. And so I thought, what better way to find it than make a career out of it, to hold me accountable? Because at the time I wasn't doing anything or had any kind of accountability. And I thought, well, if you're paid to do it, it puts you in that setting automatically. And I had the privilege to be able to choose that as a career path, of course. And so that's kind of how I found fitness. And so a lot of people are surprised to hear that, because they kind of assume I've always been into it and everything. And that wasn't always the case. So it's never too late for people to start.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would not want to get in trouble with any of the religious community in saying that, but I do think there's something spiritual about that, right? Like when I started instructing spin, it was because I was having so much fun in spin classes. It was like, I tell this story all the time. I was in a spin class and this feeling of euphoria just washed over me at one point. I remember being in this class and just laughing out loud and just having so much fun. And now when I think about myself, 6'4", 220 on a bike, just going, right? Like, but really like this euphoric feeling. And I was like, oh my God, if I could feel like that, then I want to do it again. And I kept doing it. And all of a sudden one day I looked up there and I was like, well, if I'm having so much fun here, I bet you I could have fun up there too. And that's when it made the transition. And being able to be a part of people's lives, people coming to spend an hour of their week with you and like making calendar time for that felt really special. And it actually is the offshoot of why I'm doing this now, right? Like I was stuck in the spin room. So if I didn't bring 40 bikes with me, it sort of cut my message off. And people would always ask me about my habits. How am I staying fit? How am I showing up in spaces like I am? And I was like, you know what? There's a lot more I'd like to say, and I needed to find other spaces to do it. So this is one of the arenas where I'm taking advantage of that opportunity to share that with others.
I love that. And I think that's part of why I was so excited to be on this podcast and felt so honored, because I truly believe what you're doing is truly hand in hand with what we're all trying to accomplish being at Lifetime. Yep. It's really such a perfect union. So that's so cool. It really is. And, to your point too about spirituality rather too, and also not wanting to ruffle any feathers in the religious community either. But I will say, I said this in one of my classes a while back, and I meant it too. I said, whether you go to church or not, we all have our church, right? We find our church, whether it's in a building, whether it's at a gym, having taken a cycle class where you leave never feeling more invigorated in your life, with just feeling more uplifted, and able to actually tackle everything else outside of that building after that. That's your church, right? So we all, I think, need to find that in a way, so that we can continue being our best selves, so that we feel energized, invigorated, motivated, and can focus on what we need to focus on ahead all the time. We need that.
I think one of the biggest parts about the church is the community part, right? So you're finding a lot of community in these spaces. And if it feels like that, then that's a good thing. If those people are there to help you be better, right? That's a good thing. So we take advantage of those opportunities. You started talking to me about your transition from Brooklyn to Jersey, right? Lifestyle change. Definitely some habits changed within there too.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of those habits, that shifted from the New York style, or maybe from mom of none to mom of three.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say I wanted to actually touch on this too. Was one of the first habits I instilled was movement. When I realized that I needed to start simply moving more often. The next piece, when I realized that I was going to stay at home with the kids for a little while, because essentially we were in New York City at the time when the kids were babies, and we realized that I would be paying money to work a job at that point. The salary that I would have generated would have fallen under the amount we would have spent for childcare. So I stayed at home with the kids and decided in that moment when I was looking at my little guy at the time, just Britton, I had only had the one of the three. And I was like, if this is going to be what I'm focused on now moving forward wholly, and I know that other people are focused on that as well, but have other commitments outside of that when they're working as well. I decided to commit myself to actually making it the healthy experience I could for my kids. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to learn how to cook. And I didn't know how to cook. I didn't cook a lot before. And I decided at that moment that I needed to start making healthy food now moving forward. And so I really got into cooking then. And that kind of changed all of our lives after that, because that was a habit that I think typically takes a lot of people time. There's a learning curve, and it takes you time to refine. And to many people's credit who say they don't have time to cook, it's true. If you're learning and you don't already know how to cook, that's something you have to decide to devote time to. But then once you do, it's like anything. It comes easier to you. You can generate things quicker. You already know the system you need, right? So I chose that time to focus on that when the kids were babies, or I was having more babies at the same time.
The word we think about in activating you is fuel, right? So we think about all the things that fuel the best version of you. It's really tough out here. People make all types of jokes about the American diet. There's a space where we've spent so much time with such a focus on food, right? And, it's a blessing that so many people in this American lifestyle have more than they need.
Yes.
And the proof positive of that is that every corner there is something to stop in, to eat, to grab, right? You can buy a burger, buy a pizza, buy this, and all those things that you can buy. You're really not able to know exactly what's going into your body in those moments, right? It makes it really, really tough. So cooking slows you down, right? It automatically makes it the process of eating slower. You have to gather the food, you have to shop for it, all those things. So that's a huge habit that anytime I look at any workout plans, when I look at the nutrition portion of it, that's usually a part of it, right? So cooking was one for you. What else? Now you said movement and cooking. How did you go from what was it like before? So if movement wasn't a habit, give me a normal day, and then tell me what started to switch. How do we turn that table?
Well, so, when I was in New York City, before I had gotten into actual fitness, I knew I still needed something, because I felt, your body takes on so much when you start having babies and, through pregnancy and then postpartum and then toddlerhood. I knew I needed more, and I was already getting movement at in New York City. But when we left, my husband and I both actually looked at each other and were like, we're going to have to seek out movement now, because we're not in an area that is your natural vehicle, literally, to go places. And so that's when we realized that we needed to build that into our schedules when we left the city. And I think, the vast majority of America and where we're from originally, you have to seek out exercise, right? You have to go somewhere that offers it, if it's not good weather outside or what have you, or if you want something more than walking or running, right? So we decided to incorporate that then, but that was more me when we first left and came to the suburbs, and I dove in headfirst into group fitness. And so that was the way that I forced myself to make that a habit.
Why group fitness?
I didn't know if I wanted to be a personal trainer yet. I hadn't gotten my certification for that yet. And I wanted something that I didn't have to go back to college for, because I already had a master's degree, and I had already gone through a lot, but I was choosing a different field now. And I didn't want something I would have to invest a lot in, but that would actually be a great payoff for me. And so for me, that was exercise. Was like, you don't have to invest a lot to get a group fit certification. With a little bit of time and energy and a very small investment, you can get certified. And for a lot of people who do it, they choose it not for the exercise. They choose it because it's something that drives them, and they feel, passionate about changing other people's lives with it. I went in for the former, actually. I wanted to just start exercising, but then it became my passion. So I didn't realize I would fall in love with this career when I first started. I was doing it more as like a means to an end to get me moving. And then I fell in love with it after that, which is kind of funny. In terms of my fuel and making cooking my habit, I started finding that once you start making something like that, you can start adding to it, but you already have your foundation built. So everything else, even if it seems more challenging to other people, it's not that challenging to you anymore, because you've already built that foundation. So for a lot of people out there who may find it hard to make that a habit for themselves, I would say once you start doing it just once in a while, even a little bit here, a little bit there, experimenting with it.
So I eat out everything. I don't. Okay. I don't eat out everything. I have kids. They do force it sometimes, but not everything. We actually cook a lot. And I would say between my wife and I, it's probably like 55-45.
So that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. We cook most days. When we have a lot going on, that's when we'll break out the let's buy something. But let's use me as a hypothetical.
Sure.
I work a lot. I have the kids. I'm moving around. So I buy food, most days. Or it's something that's quick that I'm popping in the microwave most days. Tell me how to transition from that into somebody who can cook maybe 4 out of 7 days. How do I get to that point?
So I have a lot of hacks sorry, I hit puberty there. I have a lot of hacks that I try to share with people when they're just getting started, especially that make cooking a lot less daunting. And one of the things is you don't necessarily have to make every single thing be something from scratch. So for example, I often like to tap into like a rotisserie chicken. How easy are those to grab? And they're typically fairly affordable. If anybody has access to getting an already cooked rotisserie chicken, which you can get pretty easily almost anywhere now, and you can make white rice, right? Yeah. You automatically shred that chicken or have that rotisserie chicken with white rice, and then I would often have just a simple side salad on the side. Yeah. A lot of times with that rotisserie chicken, I can do a million other things that come together in less than 30 minutes. Shredding the rotisserie chicken and tossing it into some day-old rice that you just had from takeout, that's white rice, diced up onion, garlic, a little bit of ginger if you want, and scallions, you've got fried rice. So there's a lot of like hacks that you can take with food that's already prepped for you that it's a throw together meal. A rotisserie chicken into a chicken tortilla soup. So the chicken's already taken care of. Now you just make your soup base with diced onions. You can even put regular water in and your vegetables. Toss the rotisserie chicken in, simmer it. You have chicken tortilla soup. Like there's things that can come into fruition without you having to be Martha Stewart to make it happen, right?
Yeah. I love Martha Stewart. I'm a big fan.
Well, one of the things samesies. One of the things though that I did recently that brought me back to that was actually this detox that I did through Lifetime, and the recipes that they would give you as part of the detox really brought you back to simplistic cooking. Though.
Okay. Now you brought it up, so let's talk about this detox because that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about.
Yes.
I've tried the detox.
Okay.
Now, the last one was it a month? Was it 3 weeks? How long was it?
So the detox is supposed to be 2 weeks,
but because I did about 3 days.
That's like with an asterisk because if you're doing a detox properly, and I give you credit for the 3 days you served, Greg.
I did about 3 days, and that third day my headache was so bad from not having caffeine because now.
So this is what you should prep for. So detox 101. And I love you for those 3 days because I know you were fighting the fight. I know you were because I've been there.
It's the caffeine, and so sorry to cut you off. What I noticed is if you are a meathead too, you take pre-workout, and pre-workout usually has some caffeine in it. Now you're like, oh wait, should I not take the pre-workout now because I'm off the caffeine? Okay, I'm gonna take the non-stim. That means no caffeine pre-workout.
Correct.
That's garbage. Why did they even make that?
Which there is that available.
Why did they make that? It's such a waste. Non-stim, no caffeine. We better get out of here.
Now I feel like I have to do this detox in November with you guys.
Well,
I feel like I have to.
You got to help me out here.
Okay, so I'll start by saying this, and for anybody listening, I'm not an expert. I'm not a dietitian. Okay, I am the nutritional supplement lead of Lifetime, and I have done the detox, and I'm speaking from my experience. So I'm sharing with you my experience of having gone through the detox personally and what I learned in that on here.
Okay.
So first of all, the detox, when you enroll in it, says 2 weeks. Really, to do a detox successfully, and I don't want people to just completely clock out of this now, you really need to designate a month because if you're smart, you're actually going to taper off your caffeine or any other thing you need to taper off. So for me, that was caffeine. If I was drinking regularly, which that we'll talk about on another occasion, I would have tapered off alcohol that week.
Okay.
And for some people, if they feel that they for example, have a sweet treat every night or something like that and love their sugar, you should also taper off that the week prior as well. All of these things will contribute.
All of these drugs.
To your energy plummeting.
Sugar, and alcohol. Okay.
And so for me, I drink 2 cups regularly every single morning, like clockwork, and then I never drink them past noon. So I'll usually drink them one right after the other as soon as I get up with collagen in it, and that's it. So I drank for a couple of days my 2 cups, a couple of days 1.5, a couple of days 1. By the 2 days before I actually went off altogether, I had a half cup and then no coffee the day before. And if you do that successfully, I'm not saying you're going to feel like $1 million in the first week.
Okay.
But it will curb a lot of that.
This is a specific question for the meatheads.
Yes.
What does that mean for my pre-workout?
So your pre-workout, and I will say this too, anybody who did do the detox, Annika, who oversaw everybody and was kind of the point person throughout the process, said, for those who really, really cannot let go of their caffeine, you can do 1 cup a day.
Okay.
So for those people who are really convicted, but I'll tell you.
I would just save it for my pre-workout. I would just do that. That would be it.
And which you can.
Worst case scenario. I can do tea, but I need the pre-workout.
Totally.
And by that 3rd day when I start doing this thing.
I'm with you. I'm so with you. And I've done not a detox, but something similar to it, also cold turkey before, and I just don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Like if you can plan for it, do it. You're just helping yourself out to actually be more successful.
Yeah.
So after that first week of tapering off, you then go into, and I'll mention too, if you've planned properly, which it means you knew you were going to do this detox more than a week before you started the detox. Yeah. You're also actually looking at the meal plan and your whole month ahead. Okay. So you're getting groceries the week prior. And all of the recipes that they provided us with are not for advanced cooks at all. So it was it really was like a dump and done, many of them, or like a 1-pot meal. They really weren't fussy recipes. I will say that.
So I go shopping the week before the detox.
Yep.
I get all my ingredients.
Yep.
Everything's at the, everything's at the house. I'm cooking. Am I meal prepping?
So if you're not a cook.
Wait, real fast. Okay, caffeine's out. What else is out?
Caffeine.
Sugar. We reduce the sugar. What else is out? Because I think that the detox stuff is important. I know there's a lot of people who have done what do they call them? Subtraction diets, where you take these things, they take things out and you reintroduce them. I've heard all the wonders of them. I've done some in the past as well. Never let go of the coffee though.
So I'm pulling up my thing so I don't forget anything on this, because there's a couple surprises here. Eggs.
That's a huge source of protein. Come on.
So we're going to touch on that right after I go through the list, because I'm so with you. It's not even funny. Eggs, dairy, sugar, or any sweetener. So maple syrup, honey, got to cut that too. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Caffeine, alcohol, gluten, wheat, soy, corn, peanuts, and the surprise one that people didn't understand, but I can quickly explain, was grapefruit and grapefruit seed oil. Okay. Grapefruit in particular produces an enzyme that inhibits your body's detox functions. And so that's the only reason they cut that. Not because we're oversaturated with it in society or anything.
Nobody's really eating grapefruit like that. It's like detox grapefruit.
Except my kids. I know, yeah.
All right, that's a tough one.
So to that point, all of these things, each and every one of them are thoughtfully cut out for a reason. And that's because a lot of us in our country now, we talked a lot about the American diet now. We don't realize, and this was something that I learned and posted about as well on my handle, how oversaturated we are with these items, some of them not even in your diet. For example, and this is not to start a political debate at all, vaccines have eggs in them. You know, different things have ingredients in them that we're not aware of, that we are having administered into our body in some form that we're not aware of. And over time, what ends up happening is we build an intolerance to some things and we don't know it. And so we end up bloated. We end up, our digestive system doesn't handle it well anymore. And so what happens is our digestive enzymes and all the bacteria in our gut, it gets messed up. So when you detox, and when you do the detox properly, you're basically resetting your whole gastrointestinal system. The whole biome in there, if you will. And that's why I also say that you really want to give yourself a month on this, because the week prior you're prepping, the 2 weeks you're on, you cannot, when you're done, as much as you may feel the urge to go right back on everything again. You cannot, because it will overwhelm your body. And I learned this personally.
Okay.
And you may have a really bad reaction to one of those items, but you won't know which one, because if you just went back to consuming everything again, you have no idea what one reacted with your body.
I just feel like detox is over. I could jump into a vat of coffee while eating hard-boiled eggs and peanuts
Greg,
with a grapefruit.
Nobody wanted to sleep with bread and spoon it and carry it everywhere with them more than the person you're looking at right now, okay? I did not realize the love affair I was having with gluten and bread until I had to cut it on this detox. And I literally was like, am I going to live the rest of my life this way? I am sad. Okay. So that's not to say there's not a sacrifice.
I think the good thing is, and I think it's Melissa Hartwig. I've done her like subtraction diet, and then you reintroduce food. So this felt familiar. I don't know why it was so much harder for me to do this time. It really was. I was like, why was this harder? And hers was longer, the reduction time, and then the bring it back. And I completed that one. And I don't know what it was about this time that felt, I think maybe I didn't plan for it right. I was like, oh yeah, it's popping up. I can jump into it. And then there was a couple of days and I was like, oh, this is not working. I'm stopping, right? So that idea of planning for it, I think is really important. But I also realized too, is that when you're able to make that decision, when you're able to commit to it, in that 2-week period, you'll start to, not even just with the reintroduction, you'll start to realize, oh, I didn't need as much of this as I was having, right? The caffeine one, I know for sure.
Yes.
I think the first time I went through withdrawals with caffeine, I remember it. Like I used to go to work, get a cup of Starbucks in the beginning of the day, and then get another one for lunch. And it was like 2 big cups. And then I remember one day I was so busy I didn't get it, and I had the worst headache. What's happening? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm a fiend now. It's coffee.
And you're also not alone. To those points though, Greg, too, and I could not empathize and relate more, to be honest with you. A couple things that you touched on that I wanted to break down in there too, which I think is important for everybody. One is, I think we don't realize we're talking about habits here and intention too, right? And how your habits can be a good or a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And we don't realize how much we get into some habits that we're like, ooh, I didn't realize this was kind of setting me back.
Yeah.
Or how much I might have been like over relying on this. And then at the same time, the intentionality piece. I could not believe when I had to sit there and read labels of every single thing for a month to realize
what's in it.
The top ingredients that I found in things that I never expected them to be in. Like, look, I know sugar is going to be in cereal. That's like no, you know what I mean? That's a no-brainer. But to look on a rotisserie chicken and see that there's sugar in there, to look in broth, and I knew broth because I made soups at one point in my life. Trader Joe's, by the way, has one of the best broths without any sugar in it at all. The cleanest stuff you can get.
I love TJ.
Just because it says organic doesn't mean there's not sugar in it. But sugar was in so many more things than I thought. Gluten was in so many more things than I thought. Soy was in more things than I thought. And just the oils that food are made with are in so many more things than I thought. And so that really reminded me about more intentional consumption again, being on the detox. And that journey on the detox is one that I really would highly recommend to everybody, even though admittedly I was miserable that first week. But I think that there's beauty in that now looking back. By the second week, I actually felt energy again. My energy levels had evened out entirely. Not everybody loses weight on the detox. I did lose 5 pounds on the detox without trying to lose weight.
There's people right now looking at a camera lasering you like 5 pounds in a week.
No, I know. And I will say this. I think a lot of that was water retention that I was on any given day, your weight's going to fluctuate between 3 and 5 pounds anyways, at any given day. But I was retaining a lot of water. I had a bunch of unhealthy habits embedded in my day-to-day. I realized I was consuming a lot more dairy and eggs and peanut butter, for example. There was a bunch of things that I relied on pretty heavily to hit my protein goals that I had to rethink on that. But by that second week, my energy levels spiked. My skin cleared up. People were commenting on my appearance in terms of like skin and hair looked better. And you could see the effects of the de-bloating that had occurred from the detoxification process. And that was pretty cool. It's not a long time.
If you could do that in 2 weeks time, it's a worthy investment. Right?
Totally.
As you talked about habits, it's one of my favorite books. It was a game changer for me mentally. It's right up there. And that's why it's called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. If you haven't read it, read it. I'm putting it on my bucket list. I think I want to interview him or sit with him at some point, because the book was such an impact on me. But the habits are so powerful. All right. And I like to look at it when we do workshops. I say they aren't good or bad. They're just habits. And your brain forms them. You just got to figure out whether they're serving you or not. Why I love this concept of taking things away from your diet is because those things have become habit. They're so powerful. You're so used to them that even getting off of them, I'm joking, I'm tongue in cheek with the caffeine, but I don't want anything to have that much of a hold on me.
Yes.
So even caffeine, when I take a little time off of it, it's important because I don't want anything to rule me like that. And if I'm not clear about whether it's serving me or not, then that's where the problem is lying, right?
Yeah.
If I'm getting to a point where I'm only awake because I'm having caffeine, that's an issue. I also think a lot more, one of the habits that we need to get back is rest, right? Like in every commercial, they're telling you every problem, we can solve it. It's a pill for it. There's a cream for it. There's an ointment for it. There's a vacation for it. And nobody ever says, go to sleep. Like none of the commercials be like, this one's free. Take a nap, like sleep a little more, right? And I think things like being able to say, hey, remove some things from your diet, eat whole foods, take, sleep. These things are all, less expensive than you would consider. And they might be the solve that you need. So, yeah.
That point alone that you just made on rest, I think is one of the most overlooked and undervalued components of proper training and just living your best life. In the training realm, trainers are constantly trying to stress to their clients, specifically, recover, rest, get 8 hours of sleep, get 8 hours of sober sleep, right? Anything that you're consuming that's going to disrupt that. For me, that was alcohol for a long time. That was a bad habit I had instilled, is going to take away from your quality of sleep and your rest. You can't tackle your fitness goals if you are not recovering properly.
Right.
And that component in and of itself, when we're on the detox, they're driving you to hydrate, and rest, because your body is in shock. Yeah. Just as when you exercise and you do a really high intense workout, your body is under stress. So now you have to recover, right? I think that is one of the most undervalued, overlooked components to our betterment in society today, personally. So
momentum is a really important concept. And it's one of the things I think is more than a concept. It's a mindset that people can have. I think if they look to build momentum, and we see this in everything that works, that works already in life. Your kids learn one math problem, then they build on it. That's how we learned in school. Everything builds on something else, but we sort of forget that.
Yeah.
When we become adults. Talk to me about momentum and your thoughts around that.
Yeah, so I feel like that is probably, in my opinion, one of the things that is hardest to maintain as we go through stages of life. Okay. So we can all get our momentum and get our habits, but life is just life, right? And life doesn't care if we have habits instilled or if we have a good thing going. Life is going to happen, whether that's a death in the family, whether it's for some women all the way through your pregnancy, postpartum, and afterwards, and the child rearing phase can seem like such a blur, and prioritizing yourself just seems impossible, right? So much happens in our life that stops our momentum, that takes away from that really good energy that we had moving forward. Yeah. And I would say to give people the advice that to keep your momentum, it's really critical as we go through life to surround yourself with people to uplift you and keep you in it. Whether it's your spouse, whether it's your best friend, whether it's a trainer at the gym that inspires you. Yeah. I've had members show up to my class before and share with me that they got through some of the hardest times in their life by showing up to my class because they left feeling better every time. Yeah. Find people and surround yourself in your life with people who will keep you going when you actually get stopped in your momentum, because that's really All of us are going to have something in life or multiple things in life, but you need people surrounding you. You need people who are your biggest cheerleaders and who help bring out the best side of you out there. And that's what, in my opinion, is the biggest thing that keeps my momentum.
Who does that for you?
Well, so I actually have a lot of people that do that for me since I found Lifetime. You're one of them. My husband.
Well, thank you. I was about to say, you better shout him out.
I was going to say, my husband is my number one person that looks at me every single day. And I think some people would get mad at their spouse for saying this, but he'll look at me and he'll go, "What are you doing for your workout today?" And that to me, I want that.
Yeah.
I want that. I want that accountability. Yeah. I want to actually have to explain to him what I did on my workout. Yeah. But then the minute I walk into Lifetime, I've got you and all of the other people there that the minute I see them, even on my worst day,
they lift you up.
I'm out of it. Yeah. And so I feel like if people can, and we're all worth it. So that's my biggest message here is, be selfish. Yeah. Be a little selfish. Handpick people to surround yourself with in your life that are your yes people, right? So they'll keep your momentum going. And that's how you stay in it, essentially, or get back in it if you fell out, right?
I love that. I believe when you start doing the work, the world aligns with you. That's why, I always, when I think about momentum, my brain always goes to an avalanche, right? It's so powerful, but it takes the right conditions to build up that power. One of those things that you're calling out now is having the right people around you, or maybe some of those conditions that you need to build around you. So I love that. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. We've talked for a while. I don't want to keep you here forever. We'll do part 2, maybe part 3. I love your energy, so we'll find ways to do. And you live close. We'll figure out ways to do more of these. But this one, I figured the detox conversation was a good one. There's a detox coming up.
Yep.
Right. It's starting in about a week or so. But regardless of when there's one landing, give me a short version just so I can make sure that everyone gets a sense of what it is. A detox like this one is allowing you to just remove some things from your diet, right? Mm-hmm. And allowing you the space to reintroduce them, but to understand how they work for you. Your top 3 tips if I'm going to detox are?
Oh, that is a really good question. Top 3 tips if you're going to detox. Prepare for it. Like actually prepare, taper off the week prior. It's critical. It will help reduce symptoms that you will have even if you taper off properly.
Got it.
You will still have symptoms. You will still feel very low energy, not yourself that first week. And that's common because your body is expecting all these other things to get energy from and you're not giving it to it the way it's used to. Okay, so preparation ahead of time.
Got it. 2.
Number 2, stick with it. Take it all the way to the end. Okay. And see the process through. You don't know how much you're missing if you don't. I
feel like you're looking at me funny because I told you I quit in 3 days.
No.
I feel like that was a sign.
No, because I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people. No, because I know a lot of people.
I was being vulnerable, right? With you, I told you that I only did 3 days, and then you just, you know what I mean? But it's okay. It's fine.
No, because I think it's important because there's a lot of people who have solidarity with you, Greg, that share this with you. So prep ahead of time, stick with it till the end.
Okay.
And don't underrate carefully incorporating one ingredient back in at the end. One ingredient over 2 to 3 days time to let your body process it. Then you can move on when you don't have symptoms. Don't overlook that part and just go right back to consumption because if you have a bad reaction like I did and you went back to just eating everything, you'll never know which one your body reacted to. And it's not comfortable. I'm not talking about just like you farted a lot, okay? I'm just saying it's awful, guys. Do not subject yourself to that. I am giving you the warning right now. Don't make me say I told you so, okay?
Fair enough. I thank you so much for sitting with me today. This was great. I share this with you all the time, so I make sure I give you your flowers while you're here. One of my favorite classes when I go work out is yours because the energy that you bring to it. If you're in New Jersey and you can get to the Lifetime in Berkeley Heights, take one of her classes. My favorite is her GTX. At the end, she gives a little speech and she sends you on your way feeling like $1 million. But I think that's important. Thank you. When we were doing the prep for this, you were talking about like, I'm not an expert. I was like, well, there's people who sign up every week to be with you and spend time. That's a good thing. You're sending people out into the world feeling better, and I'm one of those people. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Greg. That means more than I can ever express to you. I sincerely appreciate it. What an honor to be here tonight. Truly.
Awesome. Thanks for helping me have this conversation, and I look forward to getting on the feedback from it. So yeah.